We are live.
I can never. I can't find a happy medium with Craig. Either he's too quiet and gives me nothing, or he's trying out bits on me before the show. I can't just say hello. How's it going?
I did say hello.
You know what you did.
Yeah, I know. Well, last time you're like, I don't know what to talk about when we start.
You know exactly what you did.
last show, was I don't have anything to start with. Normally I have a quip, so I was like, I'll just interject something. Maybe.
Well, it's at least nice to have Craig, someone who, at the very least, pretends he wants to talk to me. That's rare on this show now, apparently.
Yeah, dude. Once your internet cut out, me and him were boys. We were talking the whole time.
Really, I couldn't break through with the guy. Well, folks, if you missed it, subscribe to the Patreon, blindmike.net, or it'll be out Thursday, I believe, on the Why You Laughing feed. There's basically a bonus episode of the Blind Mike Project coming out on the Why You Laughing feed. People seemed happy that I didn't. The few comments that I got on it so far, people were glad that I didn't. I threw the plan out the window.
Oh yeah.
I think people would, at that point, people would have rather heard of Peter Sheckley than Adam Sandler, whatever portion I had for Adam Sandler.
I haven't seen any bad feedback yet, but granted, everyone that's seen it pays for the show.
They're the good people have seen it so far.
Yeah, once the Seinfeld app went live, I got hated on.
Oh, that's right. You got a real well. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah,
because Craig got a deserved hammering, but also I believe a deserved defense from the people. People had your back swiftly.
Yeah, the VGB don't fuck around.
We'll get to that in a second. But if you missed it, if you don't know what we're talking about, we had a comedian who I find very funny. I'm a fan of. That's why I reached out to him. Danny Polishchuk from The Boys Cast. You guys may have heard me mention him before. And I reached out to him. I heard him on WATP. And I thought, well, maybe that means I can get him. I've done that program before. Maybe maybe he'll come on. And I found him to be an interesting guy. I thought maybe he'd fit the Why You Laughing For. Although I did even think to myself, maybe I should just have him on Blind Mike Project and shoot the shit with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I said no. Let's get a Why You Laughing in. I'm sure he's got some great. And then this happens a lot when I ask people to do Why You Laughing. This is why I'm not a big fan of like guests on there. Because it's hard to get people who have any idea of what I'm trying to do because they haven't listened to the show before.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Anthony DeVito, by the way. The only guy. I'm not counting Carl or Vinny because I think they've listened to the show before.
Right.
And Royce was kind of a different episode. We just fucked around with Royce pretty much.
I love Royce.
So Anthony DeVito's the only guy that's come on and was like, well, I will go along with what the host is saying.
Yeah, it was the first guest, wasn't he?
I think he was, yeah. And he's like, I'll prepare and, have some knowledge on the topic we're discussing and some thoughtful points about it. And I will do what the host wants to do rather than one we had, like, I don't know, angrily ranting about the business and Eliza Schlesinger. And then we had this with Danny Polishchuk where he came in very weird. First of all, I think I read him wrong. I think he liked us, or at least didn't hate us.
He seemed more playful post show than while it was happening.
Oh, really? When he cut himself off mid goodbye as he left 6 seconds later.
Yeah,
yeah. What I remember that. What a bonding experience.
It was an all around mess. We had people dropping out of the show. I had to start talking. And leading the show.
Oh, yeah, Craig took the reins. That's the last I think on this show, people would have fun with it.
Right.
I think the gearheads would enjoy it. I think the last thing anyone wants to hear on Why You Laughing. And the funny thing is I'm sure it's not I'm sure it's the exact same people listening. But
I don't know, dude. They
take it more seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I will say as far as like different listeners, a few people have reached out to me that have heard me on WATP. And they're like, hey, man, I signed up for the Patreon. Where's Why You Laughing? Because they'll sign up at like the $5 tier or something. And they're like, what is this? Why am I watching Quincy?
Well, it says in the descriptions of each tier where Why You Laughing falls.
I know. People don't pay attention. By the way, folks, I think we're locking it in. If we get to 750 subscribers, I was humiliated the other day. when it was learned we had nowhere near 800. So let's just get to 750. And I will get a tattoo of your choosing. I laid out the 3 options: the KFC radio logo, Quincy, it's murder time, and Gringo Poppy. So if we get to 750, let's hurry it up, folks. A little incentive for you if you haven't signed up to the Patreon yet. But what was I saying? Lost my train of thought here.
Holes Chuck, how it went, me speaking on the show.
Yes. Yeah, that's the last thing anyone wants to hear on Why You Laughing is Craig take the reins.
Yeah.
But I feel like on this episode it was very appropriate. So Danny comes in, and the first thing he said to us is he's hungover. He was like 10 minutes late, so he started at about 2:10, and he's like, I got to be out by 3. And that's when I was like, when I get in those situations, and this is where, you know, people will say like, woe is me. And my answer to that has always been like, now I've started to get it a little more, but where I do understand when other people are like that is because like you're not trying to be like that, because this was my knee-jerk response, which I didn't say. I held it in, luckily. But I almost said when he said he had to be out of here by 3 and he was hungover, I wanted to say, do you want to just not do it? Like, should we not do this episode?
Yeah, we can end it.
Right, like, which is me, like, just being nervous and not wanting to annoy the guy, but that probably would have annoyed him more, you know?
Possibly.
So, I was like, okay. I kind of tried, like, setting up what the show was and everything, and he was like, yeah. And I was like, all right. Didn't seem like he particularly wanted to be there. And then we started, and there was the real vibe of like, so I asked him for topic ideas just because I said when I have a guest, I like to do someone that kind of that was an influence on you, or someone you grew up listening to, or you know, impacted you in some way. That way you'll have an interest in the topic. And so he chose Adam Sandler's first album, They're All Gonna Laugh at You.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of interesting because it's a departure from some of his movies and the shit he got very famous for. But I also would have just used it to talk about Sandler in general. Like, we were going to talk a little bit about what Sandler became and shit. Like, that was kind of my plan. But when we started, and tell me if I'm being too harsh here, it felt like he was kind of like, why are we talking about this?
I wasn't sure how to read him until we played the first clip.
Yeah, which even that he was like, here was the thing. This is why I couldn't tell if we were being snubbed, because when he gave answers, they were very in depth and thoughtful, and he was present. But when he didn't want to answer, he was like, nah, I don't know.
Yeah. Or when we first tried to actually stick to the topic, we were like, oh yeah, do you think this is
Well, yeah, then I felt like a couple times I tried to go back to Adam Sandler. So we mentioned that album was nominated for a Grammy, and he lost to Peter Sheckley. Craig, doing his due diligence, looked it up and said, yes, a composer named Peter Sheckley won Best Comedy Album, which was very weird. And so we acknowledged that was weird for a couple minutes. And then Danny couldn't get past the fact that Peter Sheckley won. So you'll hear me try and steer the ship and go, yeah, and you know what? That reminds me of the next track on They're All Gonna Laugh at You.
My favorite thing though is he was more or less like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. I'm focused on this guy.
He kept doing that to the point where I was like, all right, we're doing the Peter Sheckley episode now. And there is something. I can't put my finger on it, but after 31 years of life, I have to start to say there's something that I do. I don't know exactly what it is. But there's something that I do that people either don't get or don't have any interest in interacting with. Because people will answer me literally when I think I'm clearly joking. Like, we found out Peter Sheckley lived in Iowa or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I said, Danny, I think if you're looking for like social media content, you're gonna have to go out there and find this Peter Sheckley and interview him. And he says, Well, I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I am interested in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I figured.
I don't know if we're just not factoring in the hangover enough.
Well, so that's the interesting thing. I thought we really annoyed him and that he was hungover or something. So I messaged him afterwards and was like, "Hey, man, sorry we caught you on a day you weren't feeling great, but I appreciate you taking some time for us." And he goes, "Oh no, I feel fine, just a little hungover." And then he again reiterates, "I just can't get over this Sheckley guy." So I think maybe we misread him, and he was just so taken by Peter Sheckley that he couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah, we'll get Ryan Long on the show sometime. And right at the beginning, he'll be like, "You guys ever heard of this Sheckley guy?"
I'm like, damn it, he didn't give us credit.
I know. he's he's like he's gonna go tell all his comic friends. Yeah, I was doing this fucking stupid show, and
That's exactly how the conversation will go because he seemed like he's like, I gotta tell people about that. He seemed very interested in the topic, but he will also say, I can picture him, I can hear it now. Say, I did some dumb fucks podcast, and we talked about this. Have you ever heard of Peter Sheckley?
yeah, this blind guy. He did something to his computer because obviously he can't see it, and I was stuck talking to this pink guy.
Well, here's the other odd thing that I've had before.
Looks like Kirby.
People, that's a good, yeah, that's fair. People for some reason think Blind Mike is like a zany radio name or something,
Kind of, right?
like a cool nickname. But I mean, I guess in a way. But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't call myself that if I wasn't blind.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I've had people be like, "What's with the sunglasses?" Like, what do you think it is? I don't know.
You wanna look me in the eye, sir?
Yeah, I've taken on the persona that everyone knows is cool, a blind guy. You know, I wanted to make the ladies dripping wet. So I said, I'll be the blind guy. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Why wouldn't it be? It's the
So
coolest.
yeah, I'm curious about feedback because I think maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought. Oh, so I texted Carl afterwards, and I was like, "How did you enjoy Danny Polish Chuck on your show?" And he replied, "Great, love that guy." I'm like, I'm starting to think it's me. But so I said, I go, yeah, I'm a fan of his, but I had a very weird interaction with him. It seemed like he hated us. And Carl did say, he goes, yeah, he does have kind of an odd vibe, like it's maybe standoffish, but I think that's just him. I don't think he's, you know, doing it to be rude necessarily.
I didn't think he was doing it to be rude. I just didn't think he wanted to necessarily be there.
Well, so my thing with that is always like he didn't even have to respond. It was nice of him to respond to me. There's no reason he wasn't promoting anything. He was just taking out time to come on the podcast because I asked him to.
Yeah, you got anything to promote? No.
Yeah. So like, why even do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can ignore my message pretty easily.
Yeah, or just say no thanks.
Maybe he was afraid of the blind Mike blowback coming at him.
Yeah, look
You know,
out.
he's like, I'm not gonna fuck with the gearheads by blowing this guy off.
If it doesn't work out, I'll get my assassins on it. He'll dox the shit out of him.
Yeah, well, that's I do find that funny. So then the Seinfeld episode of Why You Laughing came out,
Mm-hmm.
and Craig, I'm surprised no one seemed to care about your. Oh damn! I meant to send you the exact text. Shit.
From
Maybe
me?
yeah, maybe we'll do it another time because I don't see you well enough to be able to get it to you right now. I got a message. I checked my Instagram last night,
Yep.
and I don't check it that often. So I think this message is from a few days ago. And a guy reaches out to me and he says, hey, Mike, big fan of both Blind Mike Project and Why You Laughing. And he says, and I know that it started to become a joke that Craig is bad on the show. And people have a good laugh about it, but I'm here to tell you It is no laughing matter. He's like, this is not, it's not funny. It's going to ruin your life. You got to get away from this guy.
And this was because I did what?
Oh, it was just in general. I think your existence bothered him.
Got it. Yeah. I had someone reach out the other day to tell me to my face, which I appreciate, how much I suck.
Right.
He's like, and he goes, "You're on 3 out of the 4 shows I listen to." And I go, "Well, maybe you don't hate me that much."
Well, or maybe you're not the reason he's listening.
No, I know that, but I'm saying if you hate me that much, you probably just don't want to tune in at all, right?
Right. But yeah, it was funny because this guy was like, "Hey, bit's over." Like he thinks I have you on as a wet. And he even said, he goes, "You know what? I know it's hard to find people to produce, but I think if you take a poll with the gearheads, they'd rather you be in a room by yourself."
You guys, you understand, if I just do this, watch this. Hold on one second. All right, Mike, go ahead.
Hello, folks.
By yourself.
Now I have no one to laugh with. Craig and I were laughing a moment ago.
Ooh.
Where is he?
I just had you on the solo layout. We could do that.
So yeah, and he one thing he said that made me laugh was he goes, "Big fan of both podcasts. Really love Why You Laughing, but I'm not sure how much longer I can take it." I was waterboarding him.
I wonder if it was the same guy just trying to get at you on all platforms.
Possibly, I'm not sure.
My message must be heard. And then it was very funny. This guy on Twitter, I forget exactly what he said to me. But then the people that listen to Very Good Show went after him, but they were just like, "Yeah, you look like a toilet." And he wasn't realizing they were just fucking around. And he's like, "Okay, Twitter tough guy."
I saw this. Yeah, so I was tagged in this.
Yeah.
I was surprised people didn't go after Craig for his ridiculous Seinfeld opinion that The Restaurant is the worst episode of Seinfeld.
I said it wasn't my favorite, didn't I?
I think you said it was the worst.
Oh, that I don't mean. I misspoke if that's what I said.
So that I thought he would get a lot of shit for that. But some guy on Twitter, what was funny about this is you were both wrong. And I had to come in and correct everyone.
I had the 2 scenarios correct, just wrong location.
I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah.
But we talked about something in the Seinfeld episode. George having sex with his assistant in the Yankees office. There's also an episode where he has sex and the famous, was that wrong? Should I not have done that? And that's in a much earlier season.
Yeah.
And Pendant Publishing, I believe. The guy was wrong about what we were talking about. And then Craig interjects and says, "Oh yeah, asshole." It's the Portuguese cleaning lady. And I was like, how do you not any of these?
How do you not remember him having sex in that office at Yankee Stadium?
I'm giving you a raise. So this led to, the only reason I mentioned this is it led to a war on Twitter where, people are coming in and criticizing this guy. Now everyone's got Craig's back, like, fuck you. And this guy is a man on an island, and he's fighting back at everyone. And I got to say, it's very funny to see a response where someone's just like, "You're gay."
It's the funniest thing. And if you like that,
I think someone, was it our pal Visionless Dave or someone said, like, Seinfeld hardos are gay or something like that, which is a funny defense because we just did an episode about Seinfeld.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's obviously a joke.
The whole thing.
And this guy's like, "Nuh-uh." Straight as an arrow.
Yeah, and then I started saying like gay innuendos to him, and he's like, "Stop calling me gay," and I was like, "I didn't."
Always fun. I mean, I will, a recess type insult can still be fun once in a while. It depends on the person's reaction.
Yeah.
If the guy was like, whatever, then you'd laugh at Craig and be like, what a child for calling him gay. But when the guy gets mad, it's like, no.
I forget. I might have been Box Eating Dad. I don't quite remember, but literally just said his face looks like a toilet seat, and he got very mad and was like, "This guy."
It's a reason to get mad. And it's funny to watch that stuff because, like, I used I've been there, brother. No, stop it! No, I don't.
That's why I just kept putting the Very Good Show Patreon under his comments. I'm trying to convert him.
Well, hopefully everyone still likes it. Hopefully the guy on Instagram, this guy on Twitter, Danny Polish Chuck, hopefully they all still like us because we appreciate everyone here. And if you do still enjoy the program, then go to blindmike.net. That's where you can support the show for free with links to Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Leave a 5-star review, comment, all that stuff helps the show, supposedly. So if you'd be so kind as to do that, and if you want to go above and beyond for the program, then check out the Patreon, where if we hit 750, you get to choose what tattoo I get. Is it a bit of a wacky radio bit? Sure, but whatever I can do to drum up business here.
If you have something related to Brendan Schaub or KFC on your body forever, that'd be pretty funny.
It's hilarious, right? Wouldn't you want to do that to me?
Like, I can't see it. Who cares?
Yeah, those are probably the two. I think an It's Murder Time tattoo would be funny. That's the funniest for anyone outside of the podcast.
Right.
Like, that's like, this man has to have the word murder on his body. And I'm going to have it visible somewhere. It's going to be on my leg or my back or shoulder or something.
Yeah, it's murder time. Murder time on the left shoulder blade would be fantastic.
Yeah, so It's Murder Time is like, people will think I'm psychotic if I have that.
Yeah.
But as a listener of the show, I understand the KFC radio logo. KFC radio logo is probably the funniest one.
That would be great. Or get the Moon Man Sharpa or something that he does on his like lazy boy clothes.
Oh, I'm not as familiar with that.
I think I don't know if I think it actually might be part of the KFC radio logo. The Moon Man guy. I don't know, but
yeah, I'm not sure. But just having the letters KFC on me would be funny.
Yeah. So join the Patreon.
Yeah, get us to 750 for Christ's sake. And then, wait till I do it, and then you can unsubscribe if you want, I guess.
That's true. That's true.
So, all right. That's pretty much that. Speaking of Brendan Schaub and Gringo Poppy, the boys. Oh, and we might have one extra ticket left, by the way.
That's true.
So, because Matt from Rhode Island may have a ticket on his own. We don't know. So, if that ticket is up for grabs, make sure you join the Patreon for that, too, because we'll be giving it away to another patron. And if you want to join us, we'll be at Laugh Boston October 1st. The early show, which I believe is 7 o'clock.
Yeah. It'll be a patron of my choosing, so change your tudes.
Oh, it'll be Craig's choosing.
Yeah, I just decided.
Oh, well, I mean, folks, you don't want that held over you. Make sure you're nice to him. So, yeah, if you want, join us. And as I've tried to express, I can't express enough. Don't feel you have to. This supports us in no way.
Zero.
This literally, I'm losing money on this, and purposely so. So don't feel you have to buy a ticket. But if you think it'd be funny to join the boys and grab a big table and go see Brendan Schaub together,
and do not heckle him for two reasons. One, it's rude, and two, he'll kick the shit out of you.
Yes, yeah. We all have to remember we are pussies, and Brendan Schaub could rip us from limb to limb.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I don't want to. I have no interest in heckling. We're there to observe and report, as they say.
Yeah, we're gonna be in the shadows. We'll be in the back.
Exactly. We lurk in the shadows. So feel free to do that with us. And by the way, there may be a little leg room there.
Oh no, really?
I've heard B has had some trouble selling ticks.
So why is there 5 fucking shows?
I don't know. I'm sure it'll be almost full, if not full. But he did. I think our boy Scion Z.
Yep.
He posted some clip of Schaub on with, I don't know who it was, maybe Segura or something. And he's talking about ticket sales, and he says, he goes, yeah, the guy, it was Segura or whoever it was like, well, you're selling out everywhere, right? And he goes, you should have seen my show last night. I'm just kidding. He got very defensive. So he may have just been kidding, but it sounded a little defensive.
Well, the show we're going to is first show, the early show Saturday. That would be the fullest of the weekend.
Yeah, I bet he sells out.
It's only 300 seats, I think.
I bet he maybe 280, maybe. Yeah, something like
that ballpark. So no problem.
But yeah, we're going to see Brendan Schaub, so we wanted to make sure we studied up on the gentleman. So I have a few clips here. We played a follow-up to last week. We played a little bit of Bryan Callen on with the Legion of Skanks guys. Seemed like Callen was having a fun time. Seemed to enjoy those guys. I guess not fun enough to remember everyone's name there, but it seemed like he had a good time. Brendan Schaub did not take too kindly to it.
No, he didn't.
We said, and who knows how much of it Schaub watched, if he just watched a clip that someone sent him or if he actually listened to the whole episode. I'm betting the former, probably. But Schaub did not care for this. And for anyone who thought he was going to take Luis J. Gomez's advice, or the advice that I echoed on this program, where I said he should just go do that show, do Skankfest, do Tim Dillon's show, whatever. Any show that busts his balls, Brendan Schaub should go on, because A, they're probably going to be a little intimidated by him.
Yep.
So he'll make them look like pussies.
He'll immediately have the in-person advantage.
He will make them look like pussies. But B, him goofing around will win over everyone that thinks he's an asshole.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, there's people I'm a fan of that I don't find particularly funny, but they're like not dickheads, and they'll go along with jokes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Exactly. And those are the fun people to be around because, on some level, you can have fun.
Right. Exactly.
So Brendan Schaub doesn't seem like necessarily one of those guys, at least not all the time. Maybe this is like a Jeff D. Lowe thing. Maybe you have to be friends with him in order to make fun of him or something. I don't know.
Look out.
He Callen got off the plane from New York, and Brendan Schaub asked him about his time there.
He's in Jersey. He's got his restaurants. He's like these Staten Island Italians. They don't fuck around, bro.
Talking about Joey
They don't
Diaz.
fuck around. I would have taken you. I would have knocked your dick in the dirt.
Yeah.
Because he's got all his
I'm
restaurants.
sorry, was that Sammy the Bull or is that a Joey?
You know what? That was a
Okay.
combination.
Okay.
My Joey Diaz impersonation is.
Come on, cocksucker.
Yeah.
You gotta go deeper.
But we had a great time. We had a great talk.
So
And
you did Joey Diaz.
I did Legion of Skanks. Your buddies at the
You're
Skanks.
my good friends.
Okay, right there. He's acting like they raped his mother.
Yep.
They've never done anything to you, Brendan, other than goofed around. Like, that was the kind of reaction you would have. Obviously, I went a little extreme there. But being like, oh, yeah, they're my good friends, would be the kind of reaction he would have if they brought up, like, Kalila and Annie Letterman. You know what I mean? Like, someone who actually kind of tried to fuck him over. Whether they were right or wrong. Tried to, like, get him in legitimate trouble. The Skanks guys have just, like, fucked around and maybe alluded to the fact that he did a comedy special too early in his career.
And we'll get to that in a different clip.
Yeah, certainly. It's very interesting how people react to certain things because, Luis J. Gomez says you shouldn't do a comedy special 2 years into comedy. Oh, fuck you. I'm hilarious. Well, maybe the Godfather podcasting has some thoughts on it too.
But we will get to that. But let's see if Brendan knows anyone on Legion of Skanks.
Yes, well, he does. He knows maybe 5 or 6 guys on Legion of Skanks.
That's you know what? You're right.
It's all on there. I know.
But Big J Okerson.
Love Big J.
Yep.
Great comic too. But
Pause for a
We had
second.
a great time.
Well, thank you for your input,
also
Brendan.
like it's
Pause 1 second. And just go back a little bit, 5 seconds if you could. But saying I love Big J. So Big J, if you don't know, is the biggest name on the Legion of Skanks.
Yep.
And he's probably the most respected in comedy of those three, I would say. Like Lewis and Dave have closed the gap over the years. But Big J is definitely still like the biggest name. So like saying like I love Big J is the same as like Jeff D. Lowe coming in and saying like, Kirk, you can make fun of my dad. I find that hilarious when you make fun of my dad. When Mike does it, it's mean. So that's pretty much what that is right there. Like Brendan saying like, oh, Big J's amazing. These other hacks, who the fuck are that?
Yeah, Big J's amazing, but when he goes, who's on that show? And then he goes, and he sits there like he doesn't know until Brian says something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's interesting. You know what? I hate those guys. Is it Big J, Dan Soder, and Ari Shaffir? 3 guys I like.
Yeah, Those are my good friends. Ah, he's such a fucking loser. Oh, I hate this.
Well,
I
let's
can't
hear it.
believe-
Let's hear it out of the horse's mouth.
Your buddies at
Yeah.
the
They're
Skanks,
my good friends.
and
I couldn't even tell you who's all on there. I know.
I know.
Um,
But Big J.
Boy, what a diss.
love Big J.
Yep.
Great comic too, by the way.
But we had a great time. But it's also like it's
Oh,
like being in a coliseum.
Dan Soder still on there?
No.
Still? No.
Soder was part of that.
Nope.
Because Soder's a Denver guy. He's hilarious.
Pause 1 second.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's Dan.
What does being a Denver guy have to do with it?
He's literally trying to. Yeah.
Yeah, can we talk about Dan Soder in Denver? Can we talk about the Broncos? Anything other than this?
He's trying to do that bully thing where he's like, "Who the fuck are these people?"
Well, he's like, I don't even know who's on there. After I just acknowledged that I'm really offended by everything they say.
I really need everyone to drink this clip in for the one we're gonna play in a little bit.
Who's even on that show? These fucking losers. And then 2 seconds before that. Oh yeah, my good friends that make fun of me all the time that really hurt my feelings.
Mhm.
Obviously,
Like I
you have
said-
some idea of who they are if they bother you that much.
Like I said, though, I think he might be on the outs with Ari since he did the lie detector and said he
Because
was.
Ari didn't pass with the same flying colors that Bryan Callen did.
No, he did not.
So yeah, if you don't know, by the way, Dan Soder not on the Legion of Skanks, never was. I like that he's like, is Dan Soder still on there?
Like he doesn't know everyone's address. Like
Ari Shaffir is not on there, and he goes on to say he loves Dan Soder. He's known to be friends with Ari Shaffir, and he says how much he loves and respects Big J. So, what's your issue, Brendan? If you thought Big J, Dan Soder, and Ari Shaffir were the Legion of Skanks, I don't understand what your problem would be with them.
it would be very funny if Lewis gets super delusional and thinks he could take Schaub like he thinks he can take Ellis.
He challenges him.
That'd be a great fight, and I think that would actually make him fight.
You know what's smart of Lewis would be smart of Lewis to do that is like Brendan Schaub wouldn't take that fight.
Right, and just
And so Lewis would kind of look like the tough guy, even though he'd get destroyed.
yeah. But what if he does?
What if he does take it?
Yeah,
Yeah, then that's tough. That's a gamble. That's a real gamble you're taking.
because why wouldn't he?
Right. Yeah. Well, 'cause the logic is like he's lowering himself to that level, but the comic in him should say, "All right,
Yeah,
I'll
but
do
the,
that."
and the thing is too, I guarantee you, it'll generate more money for him than any fight he ever had in the UFC.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
So I don't know why he wouldn't do it, especially if he's still kind of training.
Even if he's not, he could get into fighting shape quicker than Lewis, I assume.
Well, yeah, and actually, they have like 4 years before the fights actually happen, from what we're learning with the Ellis fight.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
Yeah, he'll be a killing machine by the time that fight comes.
let's hear Brendan try and remember who's on that program.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
It's Big J, Dan Soder.
Yeah, Dan,
who
Dan,
else?
Dan, of course. Dan's
Gomez. And then
and-
Ari. Is that
Hold on a second. I'm sorry.
Is that the
It's just really funny to completely disrespect Dave Smith like that.
Yeah,
Because Bryan Callen was just there. And he goes, yes, that's the guy, Dan.
well, he goes Dan Smith, Dave Smith. He like immediately corrects himself though.
He gets there eventually. It's just a funny, like, slap in the face.
But the thing is, I'm like that name's so vanilla, it will get fucked up.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm sure if you Google Dave Smith, it's going to be hard to get to the comic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But so another thing you should remember as we go here, Dave Smith mentioned on that podcast that Dave has done Rogan a bunch of times, and Dave said that after one of his recent appearances, Brendan DM'd him and said what a great job he did.
Oh,
So Brendan has reached out to Dave Smith before,
He's a
not
king.
realizing he was on the Legion of Skanks, and said great job on Rogan.
To be fair though, when he goes on Rogan, he talks politics and like promotes part of the problem. So
Yeah, it's just indicative of how little Brendan knows about anything.
right.
You know what I mean? Like how little he pays attention, which one of the things about comics, I mean, I guess with certain things, they probably don't pay attention. Like if they're bored by an Adam Sandler focused podcast, but they do catch things. They're observant. You know what I mean? Like they're supposed to catch things that not everyone does. Brendan is listening to a podcast, not knowing where the guy is even from.
Yeah. I think um I think there's a chance it wouldn't be zero that he's listened to us shit on him. Like he's that obsessed with killing everyone that makes fun of him.
Right. Well, I mean, he tried suing Scion Z, where that channel isn't that much bigger than this podcast.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is not I'm not trying to insult Scion Z, but I'm just saying the idea that Brendan Schaub was
Or
going
example.
after him with litigation would mean that he focuses on the little guy.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Let's continue.
Ford, like the
And Dan Smith.
Dave Smith.
Dave Smith.
I don't
It's not
know.
Dan Smith. I'm so
Dan
sorry.
I don't think I've ever met
Sorry,
Dave. You called him Dan. You guys
Dave's a great
aren't
guy.
close.
You've met him. He said you were really nice to him. I don't know. But anyway, but Dave's great. And we had a great time. And those fans are fucking rowdy as shit. And it was, the whole thing was crazy. They hooked me up to a lie detector and asked me all these questions. And
like a legit lie detector.
yeah, it's a police lie detector. And
Are you a rapist?
Is there
we go.
there's a real guy doing?
Yeah, they didn't ask one
actual
question.
Well,
thing?
they asked
Or is
you
it
all
one
these.
of- is it a comic saying?
No, it's the guy who runs
Oh,
the
it's a
whole
legit
thing.
guy.
So he
Pause
asked
for a second.
baseline.
The guy, when Bryan Callen says a legitimate guy was running the lie detector test,
Mhm.
just this doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but just so the folks at home know. The lie detector test was run by one of their producers named Bobby Hutch.
Yes.
And just for a little background on Bobby Hutch's expertise as far as running a legitimate polygraph test, a few weeks ago, I received an email from Bobby Hutch with a link to a Zach Amico show that goes on the Gas Digital Network. To which I replied, "Was this meant for me?" And he said, "Yes, post at the same time as last week."
Wrong blind mic.
I said, "I'm not sure what you're talking about." And he again gave me instructions on how to post this video. And I said, "I'm pretty sure you've got the wrong guy." He replied, "No, I don't." And that's when I stopped messaging him.
he definitely has their blind mic in his
That's
email.
what I kind of assumed, is he was messaging the wrong blind mic. I don't know how he got my email, but he was emailing me. So that is the certified polygraph, instructor that they're talking about.
Questions. Are you a male? One of the questions he asked me when I was doing it is he goes, "Have you ever wished anybody dead?" I was like, "Yes."
Oh wow.
Yeah. Which I'm sorry to say.
What were yeah, but at least you're telling the truth. What else?
I
did
forget.
they
Is this it? I think it might be.
Is it total?
They asked me 5 questions.
Is that about it? I forget if they keep going.
This part's just watching his cunty reaction to this question
Okay.
that he answered is funny
right.
to me.
Only
And
5?
yes. They said, and the big one was, "Do you think Brendan Schaub is funny?"
Oh, interesting.
And I said yes without hesitation.
Yeah.
And I was telling the truth. So there you go, buddy.
Look at his face.
And then what were the other questions?
That's right. I forgot about that. Oh, really? Ah,
Nice.
someone dare speculate that not everyone on the planet finds me funny.
Like you said, we'll get to some more that are delightful.
Yeah, I think if you put Mr. Rogan on the lie detector test, I think he would give you his truthful answer.
I think he did without having to strap in.
I think so. So we'll get to that in a second, but it's just funny that Brendan Schaub is still on this like high and mighty, looking down at other comedians, looking down at people that don't think he's funny. It's like, listen, man, people are giving you the benefit of the doubt and saying you just should have had people around you that told you not to do it special.
Oh, and for the record too, by the way, I just X'd out of that video because it's done.
Yeah.
But a few minutes later, Brendan randomly goes, "Dude, you have to do the bonfire, by the way. Dan Soder and
Yes.
Big J are so funny."
Yes. So it's like you knew that Big J and Dan Soder did a podcast together, not called Legion of Skanks. You thought they did another one together also?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we do that. So,
Yeah, I guess so.
what was I going to say? God damn it.
Same family though.
with Brendan Schaub. What was I just about to say?
Here's your next clip.
No, I had one more thing to say. Oh, yeah, let's play the next clip. I thought I could get there. So, anyways, we've teased it.
I like to say, oh, like I remembered, giving myself a few extra seconds.
Yes. Oh, yes, of course. How could I have forgotten this great point that I'm about to say? So we also talked about last week Schaub's feud with Dana White.
Yep.
Where I didn't feel like playing it because I don't really give a fuck about UFC. But if you keep listening to that podcast, The Fighter and the Kid, Brendan Schaub goes off on Dana White and about how right he is in this whole controversy with Dana White.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Boy, what is wrong with us today?
I don't know. I'm just so excited about this clip. I'm having like Tourette's.
Saint Rogan. So I conceded. I was like, I don't know shit about UFC. Maybe Brendan's right, and he's calling out Dana on something that Dana doesn't want to address. And I mean, here's the foremost expert, Mr. Rogan.
You just had a baby. Congratulations to that. Stay away from Twitter because these people, if all they doing is fishing for compliments to themselves so they can feel like something. But as soon as you don't give it to them, it's it. Brandon Schaub, he gave his opinion on Dana that ate his ass alive like piranhas.
It's so dumb. I didn't talk to him about that, but first of all, he's wrong.
Yeah,
he's wrong about the theory. Look, Brendan's my boy, but he needs a handler.
Yeah.
He needs someone like me around him all the time. What are you gonna do? No.
Yeah.
Here's why.
Yeah.
And he'll go, yeah, you're right.
I get where you coming from with Brendan, and then it's like I don't understand why our community, they hate him in a way. Like I don't know the percentage, but he gets a lot of shit.
If you're spending any time, if you're
this is
By the way, as the producer in me, I have to point out that seemed like a cut in an edit right there.
I thought so too. Okay, you would know better than me. I thought the exact same thing.
You can hear it because you can hear it for some fucking reason. The #1 podcast on the world, they don't know how to use the denoise feature on Adobe Audition to get that hum in the background out. So you can hear
Craig whipping his dick out and slapping it on the table.
I'm chucking
Fuck you, Jamie Vernon.
He's so good at looking stuff up, though. He kicks my shit in on that part.
So, let's play that back one quick second. Because, I'm done with the clip, but that was definitely an edit there, right?
It seemed it.
Can we play it one more time?
I don't understand why our community, they hate him in a way. Like, I don't know the percentage, but he gets a lot of shit.
If you're spending any time,
Right?
busy man, your family.
Even Rogan's voice doesn't fit that he would be hitting that octave there.
And they're also saying about how hated Brendan Schaub is, and then it cuts to Rogan talking about fighting with people on Twitter.
Right. Yeah. I wonder what he said there. We'll never know, but that's interesting. Who's this guy on with him? Is it Will Harris?
Yes, I don't know who he is. He might be a fighter.
Seems like he's a fighter or he's in that world. He was interesting. I didn't listen to much of this because it was all UFC talk.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually they didn't even title it as a Rogan episode. It was like the JRE MMA, whatever it is.
The MMA show, yeah.
So I didn't listen to much of it. He seems like an interesting guy, but he strikes me as someone, kind of like us, who they might be a little interested in Brendan Schaub. So they're like, well, I'm in the King's Castle here. I might as well bring the Schaub name up again.
I better ask him.
So this is the one that may have done some damage in the Schaub household.
Years ago, you told Brendan on this podcast that he shouldn't.
Yes.
Like, when do you feel like a fighter should walk away? Like, for example,
with me and him, I was friends with him, so I knew that he wasn't really committed. And also, I trained with him a few times, and I knew like it was his lust for training wasn't there. And I was worried that neurologically he was suffering because you can only get KO'd so many times. And I had personally seen him get KO'd a few times, and I knew he had been KO'd in training, and I knew he had been fucked up playing football. I mean, he played football since he was a child.
Yeah.
Like it was there was too much head injuries. There's too many. I'm like, there's going to come a point in time where you have to stop. And now is the best time to stop. Like, you already have a career. You're doing podcasting. You're doing well. He was making more money doing podcasting than he ever did fighting.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you've got it out right now. You're a funny guy. You're fun to hang out with. I mean, you might not have the best stand up, but talking to the dude, he's a funny dude. He's got.
Uh-oh.
What did he say?
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Yeah. So Saint Rogie even acknowledges. I mean, fine. I like that Rogan has kind of always defended Schaub's stand-up and everything, and now he's at the point where even he's like, all right, fine. I mean, he might not have the best stand-up, but like he's fun to talk to.
Yeah, dude, he's a killer, man.
Keep playing it for another couple seconds just because I think Will Harris brings something up.
I did back it up because I want to hear that again. So,
Oh, well, good.
if you want to do like a, whoops.
You already have a career. You're doing podcasting. You're doing well. He was making more money doing podcasting than he ever did fighting.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you've got it out right now. You're a funny guy. You're fun to hang out with. I mean, you might not have the best stand up, but talking to the dude, he's a funny dude. He's got a great personality. He's fun to talk to. It's so hard for people to walk away because it's their identity. Their whole identity is wrapped up in being
That's true, man.
a fighter.
That's true. It's so fucking important to have people in your life that's honest with you.
Yes.
Like my best friend I keep talking about, like that's the one person that can be honest with me. Like you telling Brendan that, like, or just being honest enough to say you need to polish up your stand-up.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people surround themselves with yes men.
Oh, that noise was very telling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Dude,
Jesus.
this
Not enough shoe polish in the world.
Will Harris just turned Joe Rogan into Brendan Dassey. Yeah, he needs to polish up his stand-up. Yeah.
Yeah. I took it more as like, Will, there's not enough polish on the globe that I could get my hands on to spiff that thing. I couldn't work up enough elbow grease to get that thing nice and shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might have to hear that again.
Oh yeah, let me back it up.
I like this Will Harris guy though.
Yeah.
Like my best friend I keep talking about, like,
because I will say, no one else is gonna ask Joe Rogan about this.
Is that his name? I'm sure we're fucking it up.
No, it's Will Harris.
Okay.
That's the one person that can be honest with me. Like you telling Brendan that, like, or just being honest enough to say you need to polish up your stand-up.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people surround themselves.
I know. Here's something else I noticed.
Yeah.
Will Harris saying, "Hey, you being honest enough to say like you need to polish up your stand-up." That's Rogan thinking, "Well, I haven't been honest enough. Maybe I should have told him a long time ago."
before. So if Schaub's special was 2 years in, I'd be like, wow, he'll probably be pretty good in a decade, But it's almost at that point now, and Rogan's like, nothing's really changed. It's probably gotten worse, actually.
Say that again. What do you mean if Schaub's special was 2 years in?
So his special that he probably filmed it when he was less than 2 years in. You can go
or thereabouts, yeah.
You can go, all right, he's confident on stage. Maybe like some of the stuff.
Oh, you're saying if that wasn't if you just saw that.
If you just saw that, you're gonna think it's trash. But if you knew who he was, and as a comic being like he's 2 years in and he's got an hour.
Right. What I mean is if you just walked into an open mic,
oh
you'd
yeah,
be like, this is not the worst guy here by any means.
No, definitely not. Dude, open mics are fucking hellholes.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, like 2 years in, you wouldn't be like, this guy fucking sucks.
No.
But yeah, and so to Will Harris's point, like you need people around you that tell you that shit. But like the Legion of Skanks guys were talking about with Callen, people in LA, it's like, hey, Brendan's a fighter. A, I'm a little intimidated by him. But B, he's a handsome, charismatic guy. Like I kind of just want to be friends with him. So I'm not going to say, hey man, maybe don't release a special. An example I heard that was great. Maybe you might have even brought it up. I could be wrong though. Sal Vulcano, I think, is a good comparison to Brendan Schaub.
Mm-hmm.
Where Sal Vulcano got super famous from Practical Jokers. Could have done, probably could have had a Netflix special if he wanted to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he just has that name recognition. You bring in, and that's a family friendly guy. Like kids are watching that, so like places would be over the moon if Sal Vulcano wanted to do a comedy special, but he ingratiated himself to the comedy community. He became friends with comics.
Yeah.
He started playing like small clubs and things. Now Brendan is playing small clubs because he has to, but like Sal didn't have the audacity to just say like I'm going to use my fame to get on stage. He said I'm going to get good at comedy first.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Schaub saw the money and all that, and he's like, I'm gonna take whatever. Sal is like, I just love stand up and I don't want to disrespect it.
Yeah. Sal said I have the money from my show. I'm not so I don't need extra. I'm not going to use that to get money from stand up. Whereas Schaub could have done that with podcasting. Like he's a super successful podcaster. He could have quietly worked on his stand up. And believe me, there would have been assholes that filmed his set and put it online. But I think in that circumstance, people are a lot kinder to him.
Like, yeah, I'm trying it out.
Yeah, right. I think if someone films his set surreptitiously and puts it on YouTube, I think the reaction is, "Hey, fuck you for posting that." Like Brendan's just working on shit.
Right. And now Sal, I don't know how long Sal's into it, but it's a good while now.
Yeah, and now he's playing like big theaters and stuff.
Right.
And
from what I hear, it's good.
Yeah, so the only thing I've seen of his is the story he told on Ari Shafir's "This Is Not Happening."
Was that the pants one?
It was very funny.
Was it the
Yes.
He used to have a podcast with Q on Impractical Jokers, and I used to listen to it because I was like, I wonder what they're like not on camera.
What are these guys like off stage?
And I actually liked it, and it didn't last very long, but so I listened to them all, and he initially told that story on that podcast, and it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
It was great. Yeah, I never got my peanut butter.
But the fact that he took some lady's pants and took pictures in them.
Potential terrorism.
And was like, why wouldn't they want these?
So yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on Brendan Schaub. We've echoed it over and over again. And now we're going to put a few bucks in his pocket and go see him on Saturday.
That's our apology. And for the future, we're allowed to say whatever we want about him because we've
supported him. We're paying fans.
It's that famous, although I disagree with what you say, I'll defend to the death your right to say it.
Yes. I will defend Brendan's ability to do comedy. Yeah. So I just thought those were some funny clips and follow-ups to what we talked about last week. But speaking of comedy specials, I sent you this article. It's a very funny little insight into why I am the way I am, basically. Because someone tweeted at me this morning and said, he said, interesting read this morning at @blindmike_ with a screenshot of the headline we're about to, of an article we're about to talk about. And I was like, oh, fuck this. Like, what an asshole this guy is. He's being a dickhead to me. Oh, he's mocking me, this guy. Now, could you read the headline, Craig, of this article?
Netflix reduces payments for comedy specials in some new deals.
And when I got done reading the article, unironically, I said to myself, this is a pretty interesting read. I don't know why my instinct was like, this guy's fucking with me. There was no reason I would have thought that or should have thought that. But I was like, oh, he's being an asshole. And then I read the article and I was like, this is pretty interesting.
Well, how many times have you gotten tagged and like someone going, blind Mike, can you believe that they're taking this guy down? And it'll be like, blah, 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 is arrested for violent gang rape. And you're like, all right, guy, come on.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I've built up that, that reflex that I'm like, all right, I'm not defending gang rape. So for some reason I had that react, but then I realized the guy was just a like-minded comedy fan that enjoyed this article. So it is pretty interesting that Netflix stock is tanking.
Will Harris, Ryan Foley says Will Harris does fighting documentaries on YouTube. Just so we know.
Yeah, they talked a little about that. I didn't know if he was a former fighter or something.
He's Jack motherfucker.
Right? Yeah. So I wasn't sure, but yeah, they talked about the documentaries he makes. But yeah, I enjoyed the little I heard of him on there because he kept bringing up Brendan Schaub. So Netflix, their stock is really in the shitter right now, and they're doing anything they can to cut costs. For a while, I was in on Netflix. I was buying the dip on Netflix because I was like, "Oh, they're going to rebound. This is going to be great. It's going to get back to where it was." Now I'm the opposite, where I'm like, I'm not touching it even as it gets lower. I'm not touching it because I just look at it and say, like, they sat on their ass for too long as the king. And I mean, it sat on their ass isn't the right word because they were shelling out millions and millions of dollars to all these big names.
Yep.
To try and get them for movies and shit. But I guess what I mean by sit on their ass is like they let Disney, they were the clear front runner, ironically, much like Blockbuster. And they let Disney and Amazon and Hulu catch up to them. HBO, Paramount. They let all these things pop up and catch up to them. So now it's almost like, and I like it for stand-up. Like there's a lot of specials on there I want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But like Alba said to me the other day, she's like, we could probably do without Netflix. Like if we were to cut one, it might be Netflix at this point.
So that's what I'm thinking because it's fucking like $18 now.
Well, so they're starting. I think they're going to add commercials.
Oh, I can't do that.
Meaning you could pay less, obviously.
You're right. I had to do that with Hulu. I initially got Hulu, and the commercials were so fucking unbearable. I was just
It
like,
was a
fuck
lot.
it. Yeah, it was
a lot.
often. It was more than if you were watching television.
Yeah, it got a little crazy. I don't know what it's like now because I think I have Hulu without commercials. But yeah, it got a little crazy, but it is. But you know what? I respect streaming services doing that because it's a way to make money and charge people less. Because at some point, they're going to have to say like, people are not going to pay $20 a month for 17 different streaming services. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
By the way, the Netflix 52-week high is $700.99.
Yeah, and what's it at now?
Right now, it is at $229.09.
And I'm still not touching it, probably. At least me personally. Folks, this isn't financial advice. But
it's down 3.27% today.
Yeah. I mean, and everything's down right now. The entire market's down. So, hey, maybe Netflix will bounce back with the rest of the market and you'll end up making good money.
Whose fault is that? I'm curious.
All right.
Oh, wrong show.
He's got dementia.
He can't get off the stage.
Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me you didn't present Jerry with Madge Foley in the same way that we did.
Nope. He sent it to me, and I said, "Oh, me and Blind Mike did this yesterday," and I stayed silent because I was like, "Yeah, we did this." I wanted to yell the same things because it was fun.
Okay. That would have been. I think I tweeted that out.
Oh,
I said that would have been great if Craig repeated all the same lines.
Yeah.
He's like, you know who this reminds me of, Jer?
So that's the only thing I said. That we said he sounded like Matt Foley, Chris Farley.
Right, very good.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope she does a lot this season. I feel like we should keep an eye on her.
Well, like I said, and Jerry actually agreed too, was if the writers are good, she might actually be good.
She could be something, yeah.
Because she was loud and obnoxious, which that show actually hasn't had in a while.
Right, yeah, exactly. As a stand-up, I didn't care for the material, but yeah, she could be a
Meat brick.
Okay, we get it.
You don't miss that?
You're a bigger lady. So anyways, Netflix is tanking. Hey, $229. Maybe that's a good price for Netflix. I'd have to. What's their market cap? Does it say?
No.
Who cares? So Netflix doing things to cut costs. Now they are apparently licensing comedy specials. So basically what I think they're doing. The example they used in the article was Whitney Cummings, who I guess sold her special and like had to produce it herself.
Their market
Which-
cap is 101.61 billion.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm investing in Netflix right now at that price.
I don't even know what any of that means, to be honest.
That just means what the company's worth.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So yeah, Whitney Cummings apparently was the name they used in the article as one of these people who's licensing comedy specials. So it seems to me like we talked about Tim Dillon and Sam Morril getting specials, which means like maybe some of these guys are going to get more of a shot now.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the licensing deal means is basically like Chris DiStefano did, where he shot his YouTube special and then Netflix took a look at it and was like, we'll just buy it before you put it on YouTube. I think that's kind of what they're doing with some of these deals. So they signed Whitney Cummings to do X number of specials like that, where she shoots it herself, pays the production costs that Netflix used to cover. But then after however long the licensing deal expires, she has the rights to it and can do what she wants with it.
Yeah, and I think the future for established comics is probably not that great there because they're obviously not
yeah,
gonna,
which is smart.
yeah.
I think it's very smart if they're saying, "Hey, we're not going to give Chris Rock $40 million for a special." I think that's probably smart.
They'll probably only keep like Burr and Chappelle.
Burr and Chappelle, and maybe
probably
someone like
probably Chris Rock, to be honest.
Sebastian or Gaffigan or someone like that, like a family-friendly type of guy, you know?
Yeah, but they can
Seinfeld, if Seinfeld wants to do one.
Like Sam Morril, I don't know how much he would get for the special, but I imagine it's not crazy money, and it will get a number of eyeballs.
It's certainly now. Here's where I think this is interesting, and I think Netflix would be smart because Netflix could start bringing back comedies, whether it's TV shows or movies, by developing relationships with these guys. Like Tim Dillon just said, I was listening to Tim Dillon's podcast, and he mentioned what Louis and Joe List did with the 4th of July, where Louis funded that movie himself, found distribution himself, like did it all by himself, and reaps whatever benefits come from that. Tim Dillon said he looked at that and kind of wants to start doing that sort of thing. And I've listened to Sam Morril and Mark Norman talk about wanting to make a comedy movie. So if Netflix is willing to say, we'll let these guys do what they want creatively, then I think you're going to maybe you see Gillian Keeves, a season of Gillian Keeves on Netflix. You know what I mean? You see Sam Morril and Mark Norman's movie on Netflix. Like they would be smart to not only give these guys specials, but develop relationships with these guys where that is now the comedy platform.
It'll save the genre, honestly.
Right, yeah. And there's an audience that will watch comedy movies and comedy TV shows, sitcoms, even if they brought that sort of thing back, if it's funny. So if Netflix corners the market on comedy, it might be a little more niche than they were before, or maybe a lot more niche. But I think that's an interesting strategy to take on,
I agree.
I'm not saying abandon, don't cancel Black Mirror or anything, but
yeah, they just put out a new fucking I thought it was a Jeffrey Dahmer documentary.
Yeah.
And I was with my wife last night. I was like, "Oh, let's throw it on, I guess." I didn't know what to watch. It was like
let's throw it on for the kids.
Yeah, no, they were in bed. But it was like one of those, it was like one of the, at the beginning it would be like top 10 whatever the fuck today. I was like, "Oh, let's throw that on." And it was a fucking show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know.
Wasn't it one I heard of something like before Dahmer or something like that, where it was like the childhood of Jeffrey Dahmer?
No, dude, there was like an insanely long scene of him trying to like rape this black guy and this black guy trying to get out. But it was like awkwardly slow. Like I was like, I fucking get it.
Keep talking.
Yeah. But I was
Close.
like, I get it. Please just kill him. Oh my God.
Well, that's what I said about that Woody Allen documentary. And this was a documentary, but like the detail they went into describing him and Dylan Farrow, I was like, "Good God, please stop!"
Dude, it was
All
like
right, he's guilty. I'm sorry.
it was like if this episode was like a life-size cutout, you know what I mean? Like, oh wow, it's like I'm sitting here the entire time this guy was actually in his apartment.
Yeah. I just saw on Hulu, I saw like an ad popped up for a show. I haven't seen talked about at all. It's called Reboot. And it's starring, I think, Johnny Knoxville and Keegan-Michael Key, who I like both those guys.
Mm-hmm.
The premise is a show where the cast hates each other, basically, is rebooting. And so they have to get together years later. So it's basically, all these shows that are rebooting pretend one of them has a cast that hates each other, which I'm sure has happened quite often.
Sounds an awful lot like the Curb season of Seinfeld.
Yeah, but those guys all liked each other.
No, I know, but I'm saying they pretended on the show that like Larry and George didn't get along. And
Oh,
then-
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, an element of that, I guess. But it sounds like an interesting premise. And the guy that created it is Steve Levitan, who created Modern Family, and I
Mhm.
think wrote for Frasier. So I'm interested in checking it out. I haven't heard anyone talk about it, which is not a great sign, but
and it's on Hulu.
yeah.
I'll check that. I'll definitely check that
Johnny
out.
Knoxville acting also interests me.
I didn't think he was terrible
In The Ringer?
The Ringer, he nailed it.
Yeah.
The Dukes of Hazzard, I thought he was good, and actually Walking Tall with The Rock, I thought he was all right. I didn't think it was terrible.
Okay.
I didn't think it was terrible.
Yeah, so I'll check all that out. What else do? Oh, how much time do we have here? What are we doing?
We're at hour 7.
Good God.
It's flying by, dude. Brendan
Giving
Schaub.
these people too much content.
Schaub makes the time go by.
He sure does. You want to play real quick that Vic Faust audio?
Yes.
Do we
This is a
have
long.
that?
This is a long video, just so you know.
Yeah, I just want to play it. We played it. I thought Kirk would be interested in this. He didn't seem to have any interest the other day. So I just want to play it a little bit and set it up because this straight-laced radio guy went on a tirade with his, I don't know, co-host or newswoman or something.
Yeah.
And apparently the bit that he's referring to here, she like called him dumb. But not in such blunt terms. I think it was more of like what's up?
On air?
Well, so it was more of like an old man thing. Like, say if you were on with Jerry and he was trying to search something and couldn't figure out, how to find it.
Okay.
Yeah, you old codger. Whatever the fuck. It seemed as innocent as that.
All right, let's see.
Listen, you're a fat nasty and you don't bring up on air when I have your back. You're a fat. I don't care if you're here or not.
I don't know if you can hear it in the tapes. I don't know why they released it like this. They released it with music in the background and bleeping the curses.
The only thing I could hear is that he kept calling her fat.
So, for
Or
a little
different
background, the article that was written up on it lets us know that the word being bleeped most often, and probably following the word fat, is cunt. So he's calling this woman a fat cunt over and over again.
I mean, walks like a duck, talks like a
I
duck.
haven't seen her. I don't know.
All right. I haven't either.
I let it go yesterday.
But you called me stupid for the
Because
second
who
time.
brought up the stupid subject? You
wasn't a
called-
stupid
You were
subject.
making fun of me because I was dealing
That one
with
almost didn't get
computer.
bleeped.
Chris was too. It wasn't just me.
No, he
Chris was.
wasn't.
Yes.
Pause for a second though. Did you hear that?
Mm.
She's like, you called me stupid, and he goes, you were making fun of me. Sensitive Sally, this guy is.
Yeah.
This goes on for 5 minutes, by the way.
Jesus. Yeah, I
think
know.
he says cunt like 72 times or something.
Well, each virgin, right?
What's that?
Said one for each virgin.
I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was funny, so I wanted to play a little bit of it. But he got fired from his TV gig, I guess.
Him, I don't know where in this video it has him going back on air, but that part's the funniest shit. He's like, "Blah, blah. Welcome."
Go to about let's go to about 4 minutes. We'll just hear them finish up. There's a little bit of silence here as well, but
Fine,
You got 20 seconds. Just chill.
Perfect.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and
Yeah,
sprayed
people
her
fight.
they're,
to the
they're
vet.
just stewing right now.
People
Now,
fight though. It's
little
like
diet
Jesus, just let them
plan.
fight.
Smell it, keep her cute.
Unless she's like
No
uncomfortable,
scratching
I guess.
or smell.
Well, based on this video getting out there, I'm guessing she was.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we're coming back. Mind you, the word cunt was just said 72 times.
One for each virgin. Heavy breathing. Just so anyone listening, that's not Mike.
And we say welcome back, 9:58. Thank you so much for joining us today. What an incredible show. Awesome time.
What an incredible show. No one's unhappy. No one made fun of me, and if they did, I would have taken it great.
I also just want to point out to everyone listening that heavy breathing was neither Mike or myself.
Right, yeah, no, he was just like this mother. It was Mel Gibson light, is what you heard.
He's like,
this cunt.
Ugh.
I don't understand why they bleeped it though. I hate that they released it like that. There's no other version.
I know. It's what if it wasn't what they said and it was just being nice? But they just had the proper bleeps to make it sound like he was a monster.
They're just looking at a video. All right. Well,
You're right.
I think we about covered it all today.
I think so. Nailed it.
Like I said, folks, first of all, I mean, I don't think I even have to remind the people to go to verygoodshow.org. It seems like they're already there with fervor.
Yeah, we got some people there. For all of you that hate me, this was the first VGS without me on it. So go give it a whirl, see if you like it.
Who was on it? Who took the reins?
I still edited it after I was at a show.
Yeah, who
So,
manned the ship on air?
I'd say Tom, whoever you want to call him today, stepped up the most.
Huh. Really?
Yeah.
Well,
And then Matt was there and Mike was doing, his whole thing.
well, maybe, all right, maybe this week isn't the one you want to start with. But to go back and listen, they've got a long catalog of episodes.
Unless you don't want me on the show.
No, check it out, folks. Verygoodshow.org. And if you wouldn't mind supporting this program, and you can find all sorts of ways to do that at blindmike.net. And go check out the episode of Why You Laughing, because I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yes, definitely.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Until then, have yourself a great day, and as always, rock on.